What if I told you the key to fixing your blood sugar isn't about removing entire food groups? It's about what you add. Most people fighting high glucose are white knuckling their way through restrictive diets, cutting out carbs, and still watching their numbers creep up. And there's a reason for that. Because cutting food alone doesn't fix the root mechanism driving insulin resistance in the first place. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 10 specific foods, backed by published clinical research that work on a biochemical level to help restore your body's own ability to regulate blood sugar. We'll cover what each food actually does inside your cells, how much to use, and the best time to eat it. Stay until the end, because I'll give you a simple 5-step plan you can start tonight. The real problem. Before we get into the foods, you need to understand why blood sugar gets dysregulated in the first place. After you eat, your blood glucose rises. Your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin, whose job is to act like a key, unlocking your cells so glucose can enter and be used for energy. In a healthy body, this works beautifully. But when your cells are exposed to chronically high insulin levels, from years of blood sugar spikes, they start to stop responding. The key still works, but the lock is stuck. This is called insulin resistance. Your pancreas compensates by making more insulin. Blood sugar stays elevated, inflammation rises, and the lock gets stickier. The foods in this video each tackle one of 3 things: slowing how fast glucose enters your bloodstream, cooling the inflammation that blocks insulin signaling, restoring sensitivity at the insulin receptor itself. Food number 1, fenugreek seeds. Fenugreek seeds are small, amber-colored seeds you can find in virtually any grocery store spice aisle for just a couple of dollars. Fenugreek is packed with a soluble fiber called galactomannan. When it contacts the water in your stomach, it expands into a thick gel that physically slows how fast carbohydrates pass into your small intestine. Glucose enters your bloodstream gradually, like a slow drip rather than a flood. It also contains an amino acid called 4-hydroxyisoleucine that appears to enhance the pancreas's insulin secretion efficiency and improve glucose uptake in muscle cells. A 2014 meta-analysis in Nutrition Journal pooled data from 10 clinical trials and found fenugreek seeds significantly reduced fasting blood glucose and 2-hour post-meal glucose in people with diabetes. How to use it. Soak 1 teaspoon of whole seeds in a glass of water overnight. In the morning, drink the water and eat the softened seeds before breakfast, or grind half a teaspoon and stir into yogurt or eggs. Start small. The fiber is potent. Food number 2, Ceylon cinnamon. Most people already have cinnamon in their kitchen. The problem is they have the wrong kind. Common grocery store cinnamon is cassia cinnamon, which contains a compound called coumarin that can be hard on the liver in large daily amounts. What you want is Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes labeled true cinnamon. It's safe for daily use. Ceylon cinnamon contains polyphenols that mimic insulin's activity at the receptor level, helping cells pull in glucose more efficiently. It also slows gastric emptying slightly, softening the blood sugar rise after a meal. A study published in Diabetes Care by USDA researchers found that as little as 1 gram per day, about a quarter to half a teaspoon, produced meaningful reductions in fasting glucose in adults with type 2 diabetes. How to use it. Add a quarter to half teaspoon to your morning coffee, oatmeal, or smoothie. Pair it with a carbohydrate-containing meal for best effect. Food number 3, broccoli sprouts. This is the most underutilized food on this list, and the distinction matters enormously. I'm not talking about regular broccoli. I'm talking about 3-day-old broccoli sprouts. Broccoli sprouts contain between 50 and 100 times more sulforaphane than a fully mature broccoli head. Sulforaphane does something unique. It targets your liver's overnight glucose production. When you're insulin resistant, your liver keeps releasing glucose while you sleep, which is why many people wake up with a high fasting number even after 8 hours without eating. A 2017 clinical study from Lund University in Sweden, published in Science Translational Medicine, gave concentrated sulforaphane to 97 adults with type 2 diabetes. The participants with the most poorly controlled blood sugar showed the greatest drop in fasting glucose. The researchers had screened over 3,800 compounds. Sulforaphane came out on top. How to use it? Grow them at home in a mason jar or find them in the produce section. A small handful, about a quarter cup, 4 to 5 days a week. Eat them raw or lightly wilted. High heat destroys the active compound. Food number 4. Avocado. The fat in avocado is primarily monounsaturated fat, the same family as olive oil. This does two things for blood sugar. First, it slows the digestion of your entire meal. Adding half an avocado to a plate of rice or toast puts a brake on how fast that starch converts to blood glucose. Not removing the spike, just smoothing the curve. Second, longer-term consumption of monounsaturated fat has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity. The 7 grams of fiber per half avocado reinforce both effects. How to use it? Half an avocado per day. Add it to eggs in the morning, mash onto whole grain toast, or slice into a salad with a starchy component. Think of it as a blood sugar modifier for whatever carbohydrate it sits next to. Food number 5. Chia seeds. Chia is one of the most concentrated sources of soluble fiber available in any food. When it meets fluid in your stomach, it forms a thick gel that wraps around carbohydrates and slows their breakdown. Glucose enters the bloodstream slowly and steadily, which smooths the spike and prevents the energy crash that follows. Beyond fiber, chia is also rich in plant-based omega-3 fatty acids. Chronic low-grade inflammation is a core driver of insulin resistance. It clogs the signal at the cell surface. Omega-3s help counter that inflammation over time. How to use it? 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. Stir into yogurt, blend into a smoothie, or add to water with lemon. Give it 10 minutes to gel before drinking, and stay well hydrated. Soluble fiber needs fluid to move. Food number 6. Fatty fish. Salmon and mackerel work on a different level than the other foods. They don't slow glucose absorption. They address the upstream inflammation that made cells insulin resistant in the first place. Both are among the most concentrated dietary sources of EPA and DHA, the two omega-3 fatty acids with the strongest anti-inflammatory effects in human physiology. These compounds suppress inflammatory signals that interfere with insulin receptor function. As inflammation cools, the receptor becomes more sensitive and the insulin signal gets through more cleanly. How to use it? 2 servings per week, each about the size of your palm. Wild salmon, mackerel, sardines, and herring are all excellent. Canned versions work just as well and are among the most affordable nutrient-dense foods available. Food number 7. Walnuts. Walnuts are rich in polyunsaturated fats and plant-based omega-3s. Studies have shown regular walnut consumption can reduce fasting insulin levels, a deeper marker than blood glucose alone. High fasting insulin means your pancreas is straining. Bring that down, and the glucose follows. The protein, fat, and fiber in walnuts also blunt post-meal blood sugar rises, making them one of the best replacement snacks for crackers or anything processed. How to use it? A small handful, about a quarter cup or 7 to 10 whole walnuts, as a snack. Raw or dry roasted, not glazed or sweetened. Substitute them for a processed snack rather than adding them on top of what you already eat. Food number 8. Whole eggs. Eggs got unfairly vilified for decades, pushing people toward breakfast options, cereals, juice, toast, that are genuinely disruptive to blood sugar. A whole egg contains essentially 0 carbohydrates, so it barely moves your glucose on its own. But its real power is the second meal effect. When you start your day with protein and fat from eggs rather than refined carbohydrates, you don't just stabilize breakfast. You carry that stability into lunch. The glucose response at your next meal is measurably lower. How to use it? 2 to 3 whole eggs in the morning. Scrambled, hard-boiled, or as an omelet with greens. Add avocado alongside, and you've built one of the most blood sugar protective breakfasts possible. Food number 9. Apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar has the fastest visible effect of anything on this list. The active compound is acetic acid, and it does 2 things. It slows gastric emptying, so carbohydrates arrive in your bloodstream more gradually, and it improves muscle cells' ability to absorb and use glucose directly. A study by Dr. Carol Johnston at Arizona State University, published in Diabetes Care, found that vinegar before a high-carbohydrate meal improved insulin sensitivity significantly in people with insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. A 2025 meta-analysis in Frontiers in Nutrition, pooling 7 controlled trials, found apple cider vinegar meaningfully reduced both fasting blood sugar and HbA1c in type 2 diabetes patients. How to use it. 1 tablespoon diluted in a full glass of water. 10-15 minutes before your largest carbohydrate meal. Always dilute it. Straight vinegar is harsh on tooth enamel and the throat. If you're on insulin or blood sugar medication, talk to your doctor first. The effect is real enough to interact with dosing. Food number 10. Lentils. Lentils are a carbohydrate that actively lowers blood sugar, which sounds contradictory until you understand their structure. Lentils are built from resistant starch, a form of carbohydrate that digestive enzymes can't break down quickly. It passes through largely intact, feeding beneficial gut bacteria rather than flooding your blood with glucose. Combined with high-soluble fiber and plant protein, lentils produce one of the lowest glycemic responses of any starchy food. They also carry the second meal effect. A lentil lunch produces a calmer glucose response at dinner, too. Swapping white rice or white potatoes for lentils a few times a week is one of the most well-supported dietary changes for reducing A1C over time. How to use it. Half a cup to 1 cup of cooked lentils 3 to 4 times a week. In soups, stews, cold salads with olive oil, or as a side dish in place of white rice. How they work together. The fiber foods, fenugreek, chia, lentils, slow the glucose so your pancreas never has to panic. The anti-inflammatory foods, fatty fish, walnuts, chia, cool the inflammation that was blocking the insulin signal at the cell surface. The receptor-activating foods, cinnamon, apple cider vinegar, work directly at the lock, helping insulin grip better. The whole food meals, eggs, avocado, keep glucose flat at the start of the day when you're most vulnerable. Do that meal after meal, day after day, and cells that stopped responding start opening on the first knock again. Tonight's 5-step plan. Tomorrow morning, replace cereal or toast with 2 to 3 whole eggs and half an avocado. Tonight, soak 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds in water. Drink it tomorrow morning before breakfast. Pick up Ceylon cinnamon and add a 1/4 teaspoon to your coffee or oatmeal starting tomorrow. Before your biggest carbohydrate meal tomorrow, take 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a full glass of water, 15 minutes ahead. This week, replace white rice or white potato with lentils at least twice, and add fatty fish to dinner 2 nights. Medication. Warning. If you are on insulin, sulfonylureas, or any prescription that lowers blood sugar, work with your doctor as you add these foods. The effects are real enough that your medication dose may need to be adjusted. Do not stop any prescription on your own.